and moderator in today's discussion. Joining me again is Dennis Speer, owner of Green Builder Products. Dennis brings decades of experience in construction and green building materials. And we also have Bob Backert, who is affectionately known as Concrete Bob, who brings years of hands-on concrete experience from the field. So in this segment, we're looking at the other side of the ICF timing question. What happens when ICF is chosen too late in the process? And I know Dennis and Bob, you see this regularly, and today we're going to walk through the real costs, the delays, any challenges that can show up when decisions after plans or engineering are already complete. So Dennis, you want to start us off again? What's the biggest problem you see when ICF is brought in after plans are already drawn?
Ooh, well, the issue that you'll run into is getting re-engineering because the change in the walls they start at 11 inches thick because of the concrete and the insulation that they're made out of. It ends up being an 11-inch thick wall. Now, that means you're re-engineering it. There's the adding more square footage to your footprint to be able to get the same interior footprint. One thing that I saw a 750 square foot footprint to get the same insides, they had to add a minimum of 75 more square feet to the full footprint to take care of the added inches, the inches that were lost in the thickness of the walls. Now, typically, you're only going to be working with the exterior walls for ICF, unless you have a teenager. Then you want to have ICF all the way around their room so that you can keep their music in their room. But the thing is that normally you'll just do the shell of the building, making it fire resistant and really fire safe building envelope. Now, the thing that you do with the re-engineering is you're dealing with concrete walls. So you are going to have stronger walls and you're going to have more weight. So you may have to increase the depth of your foundation depending on your soils condition. I'm in a county, Santa Cruz County, California. Our soils conditions are so bad that it's surprising that we even have the buildings we have here. We're landslides on top of landslides here on the coast. Anyway, the thing you'll do is you'll have re-engineering. Typically, that's going to be several $1,000s worth of re-engineering. Now, that will have to be, if you've already submitted and gotten approvals, you'll have to have a review, and if they have any resubmittal charges in your jurisdiction, I don't know. Typically, you're already paying big money for your permits, and they will review changes that are engineer approved, architect approved. Now, your architect may need to do some new figuring because the added thickness of the walls may mean they want to do a little bit of wiggling to get the rooms having the same feel that they're looking for to take care of your needs. So that's what you're going to be facing. I have seen homes that have needed $8,000 worth of re-engineering. I have seen major buildings that need more like tens of thousands of dollars of re-engineering. However, the thing that you always have to do if you're building a building for yourself or for your own business, then you have to weigh out, how long am I going to be using this? Will my savings from going to ICF more than make up for any additional costs? One of our builders up in Spokane, Washington, he used exactly the same kind of materials we use, exactly the same. And he built a house, and the poor guy, has these utility bills that are driving him crazy. year round in Spokane, Washington, $9 a month, year round. That is at 4 degrees temperature or at 104 degrees temperature. He's still paying $9 a month for his utilities. That's
Wow.
because the insulation is that good. So you got to look at that. I'm on my house. I have a 1910 built with, built with redwood, matchsticks essentially, first growth redwood throughout my house. It's a beautiful thing. But my utility bills are $1,000 a month because it leaks so
Whoa.
much. And that's the difference between ICF and matchstick built. So you have
Wow.
to take
That's
that
huge.
cost effective, right?
Yes, definitely. Wow.
Yeah.
So I'm just thinking about hidden costs. We kind of talked about that a little bit, or just in redesigns and revisions.
Yeah, yeah.
Are there any other costs involved? Think, else you can think of that you need to look at? Because I know there's also the permits and inspections that get affected. And then, from, I don't know, from Bob, from a field perspective.
Yeah.
Well, we're using a whole different system.
Mhm.
It's funny. One thing I wrote down too is, using ICS, we use less tools than the framer.
Mhm.
It's a lot safer.
Mhm.
It's a lot safer too.
Mhm.
There's a danger comes with in construction. I'm sorry, your question was.
Oh, well, we're just talking about, any hidden costs,
Mhm.
any things to consider when you come into ICF late in the process after the design. And, what other places are we looking at that get affected, or that you may be aware would be affected if you're trying to redesign or adjust your existing plans? Resubmitting and re-engineering plans are going to cost more, of course, because you're basically having to adjust things. But what about further down the line? Are there other things you need to be concerned with permits, inspections, or is there a sequencing of labor during the construction phase that you need to be concerned about?
Well, ordering the product, we want to order the product sooner than later. Stage the product, easy to do. This is easier to do than stick frame. And stage the product intelligently
Right.
around the job site.
So ordering and staging the products sooner.
And the other thing is when we're all done, I've seen some good sized jobs. I would say at least a 2,000 square foot house with one plastic bag of trash. That's unheard of in stick frame. We all drive by job sites and we see a mountain of lumber to haul off to the recycle. I hope they're recycling it, right? And the trash man's coming often.
Wow, that's amazing.
We have very little. Especially in using the hot knife where we can, because the hot knife doesn't make debris, to fly away. We just melt. It just melts. And so the electrician loves it and the plumber loves it because we could route her out, right? And the foam there to put the utilities. And that's basically all the trash there is, and the coals cut off from the block. So there's a savings there also. And also I wanted to say too, we've seen homeowners. I've watched a lot of videos. I've seen homeowners that she might be, I don't know, an accountant and he's a car mechanic. Neither of them in construction. But they watch some videos, they read some literatures, and they go out and build a simple structure. I'm not saying every bit of it, electrical, plumbing, and all that, but the ICFs, 20 by 20 building. Mom and pop out there watching YouTube video, and they get it, and they can do it. I would not recommend trying that if you've never framed a house. I wouldn't recommend just watching a YouTube video and going out and framing a 20 by 20 by 10 foot high walls.
Yeah, I'm sure there are a lot of
Easy to
details.
do.
to be taken care of,
Yeah,
which is why you want an experienced architect who's worked with and builder who's worked with ICF. So it's a smooth process.
But
Well,
what I'm saying is comparing apples to apples much easier and faster than stick frame.
and it literally does go together like Legos. And the thing is that when it does come to do it yourself, the ICFs, if you're willing to put in the time and all that, if you do want to build your own house, you already have most of the things that you need to know to put up your ICF shell for getting the actual external structure of the house up. If you ever put together Legos, I mean, it just snaps together. And literally, you can get that done with no additional training to speak of. If you wanted to frame, I can show you the number of fingernails that I've had to go ahead and replace over time because they end up black from the hammer. Yeah. I mean, that framing a house takes a lot more time and energy than putting up that same structure with ICFs. Then you do need to bring in the specialist for electrical and plumbing, of course. Yeah.
Also the insulation, right? It
What
may be
insulation?
to have an insulating contractor out there for the roof or so on, but not necessary for the structure, for the walls.
Yeah.
The insulation is,
Wow.
it comes in the semi truck that delivers your ICF. There we go. That's insulation.
It's insulation.
And so that cost
Yeah.
is something that makes a difference.
Mhm. Yeah.
We lay off the cost of having to insulate.
Yeah. And all those
Great.
Tyvek wrapped houses that you see, they've had these people out there putting up the wood frames, and then they have to come out and they have to wrap it with Tyvek. You don't have to do that with ICFs. Then so you save on the insulations, the Tyvek wraps. You're like, I think Bob mentioned that your plumbers and your electricians don't have to drill holes through every piece of wood in your wall to run the wires. Yeah, because we have room enough to, you can do, some of the basic plumbing and wiring right inside the foam skin of the ICF.
Not having to hold that drill all day long.
Yeah. Oh,
The hot knife weighs a couple of pounds, and you just walk. Excuse me?
Yeah. Oh, go ahead. You're talking about the hot knife. Just that's right
the hot knife, as opposed to offering out all those holes, right? That's quite a workout, that heavy.
Yeah.
And they're really lightweight. And then once they're assembled, you just, like those. And then you pour in concrete. Now, I just wanted to double check. Can concrete be poured without like a mini rebar added into it? Or is it to include a mini rebar? Because I think of mini rebar like I think, well, I'm a knitter. So when they felt together, it's because they've been agitated and it thickens the wool and the structure. You bake, same thing like if you work dough too much, the gluten in the dough also gets tighter and tighter, and you can end up with a hockey puck. So I think of mini rebar and concrete having a similar effect where it strengthens the concrete. It makes it hold together better than without it. Does that sound, am I close to kind of how that works? There's something else going on.
The reinforcement is throughout, if we think about it. Those that know reinforcement in concrete, right? A 16-inch rebar mat, meaning a checkerboard, right? Every 16 inches. We're not going to put conventional rebar out of business, and we're still going to have to use conventional rebar in our ICF, but we can eliminate loads of conventional rebar. See, because in between those mats, right, there is no reinforcement. It's adequate. You use conventional rebar adequately and it's good, but with our mini rebar, it's every inch of the concrete. it reinforces every single inch. And we subtract all that labor of buying the rebar, unloading the rebar, cutting the rebar, installing the rebar,
Mhm.
right? So it's not just the product itself, buying the product, but it's all that labor, right? And if anybody's tied rebar, it can be a pain and dangerous too. I've got cuts all over my hands all the time.
Mhm, mhm. The mini rebar that will literally require half the weight of steel or less than half the weight of the steel will be saved when you use mini rebar instead of regular rebar. Half the tonnage of steel, once again, environmentally good, and 4 times stronger concrete. Yeah, Bob mentioned, you got like a square of rod rebar, but no strength in the center. But with the mini rebar, you have a whole network of polydirectional reinforcing that's all linked together and tied together. Rebar only comes into play in the strength of concrete when a crack in the concrete comes through the slab and hits a piece of rebar. Then the steel comes into play. The steel is now what's helping hold it together. If you have the mini rebar in there, you have millions of little tiny rebars so that a crack that comes, like an eighth of an inch or a half an inch into the concrete is running into some steel already to be able to have the steel reinforcement kick in. It makes an incredible difference in the strength of the concrete. So you end up with stronger concrete with less steel. So you are winning on both sides. And in fact, David Subak did analysis on the steel he saved. Bob, I don't know if you heard what he came up with for numbers on his 20 by 20 edition. He weighed out the steel he'd have to put in, and then he switched to the mini rebar. And in the 20 by 20 slab of concrete for a little house addition, he saved 400 pounds of concrete, of steel, 400 pounds less steel. Now, I don't know what's going on with international steel shipments and any kind of taxes and tariffs, but I do know that less tonnage of steel is going to be less money to you and less money that you're going to have to spend to get it placed. Rod busters are expensive. I mean, I was a rod buster on some luxury homes, and of course, I didn't get all of it, but it was like 75 to $100 an hour is what the homeowner was paying to have each individual rod buster on site.
This is back in the day, and more money now.
Oh yeah, more money now. Hey, that was yeah. I was, like I said, I'm old. I am old. Yeah. So
we're talking the 1970s-ish era, 80s.
Yeah,
70s,
yeah.
80s.
Late 60s, early 70s. Yeah, right.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah. I believe they're probably billing out at 150 an hour now. So
or more, maybe.
More. Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah.
Oh, especially with the liability insurance. Oh boy. Ooh, ouch.
Yes. Well, that's the construction industry, isn't it? So making savings wherever you can and using, future forward looking products like ICF combined with the mini rebar in your concrete. And then, even because in laying concrete using the mini rebar, even for your garage floor or your driveway or patios around the house or walkways, those are all great places to make use of that, I would imagine.
The mini rebar that we have is used extensively throughout other parts of the country to make above ground tornado shelters. Now, a tornado has winds well over 100 miles an hour, and that's flying 2x4s, flying cows, all those things. And they are doing above ground concrete structures that are tornado proof with the mini rebar. The military
in ICF, right? So in ICF, using the mini rebar and the concrete
you could do it in the ICFs in the walls there. The military is using the mini rebar for blast resistant walls. I mean, I can show you video of 15 pounds of C4 not putting a hole in a concrete wall.
Wow.
Using the mini rebar. Yeah.
Wow.
So
that's impressive.
Yeah. Any veteran will tell you what 1 pound of C4 can do, let alone 15 pounds, not putting the hole in the wall.
Yeah. That's amazing.
So I wanted to remind everybody listening that we have many products and we don't have time. So many products, we don't have time to go through them all that interface and go with our ICF products.
Yeah.
Right. Our crystal lock, we're talking about the strength of the concrete with our mini rebar. Well, on flat work, because we can't treat the concrete that's in the ICF, but on flat work, we can raise the PSI of the concrete by 1,000. 3,000 PSI becomes 4,000 PSI concrete. But the purpose of this product is waterproofing agent, water resistant agent, and it works. It's bulletproof. And the good value of it is it's real cheap. So these
also, doesn't it have mildew resistance as well? The mildew resistance as well.
And it'll inhibit mildew and from growing and mold. Yes. And so, but the reason I'm bringing this up is because it's not just these products that we're talking about today. So I'd encourage anybody to give us a call, look at our website, look at all of our products, and we can explain how they're used together and hook you up with an architect, an engineer.
Great. Thank you. Well, let's go ahead and close this out. Just to recap, you want to start with ICF planning in the beginning. If you delay or you wait until later and you want to add ICF in, that becomes a process to, redesign, resubmit plans if they have already been. There's some added expense if you wait too late.
Right.
But certainly there are many benefits for ICF that you don't get with your typical stick-built structure. And so it's definitely well worth planning ahead with ICF in mind and going forward with that. So anyways, thanks for joining us today. And if you're comparing ICF and wood construction or wondering whether ICF still makes sense for a project you're planning, please contact us at Green Builder Products. We'd love to answer your questions, give you some high-level guidance to help you understand your options before moving forward. And you can find us at greenbuilderproducts.com or call us directly at 831-458-0202. All right. Thanks for joining us.
Great.
And we'll see you next time on one of our Green Builder Products discussions.
Thank you, guys.